buongiorno. 윙 소리가 나네. 아. Ok, grazie, buongiorno, grazie a tutti per la partecipazione. Buongiorno, oggi abbiamo anche ospiti direttamente dalla Corea, che dopo avremo la presentazione del progetto Homestay da parte dell'associazione Unilink. Stamattina abbiamo un seminario che fa parte sempre del progetto Eurasia, dal titolo Asian Community in Europe. Oggi come ospite abbiamo il professore Rahul Ras, direttamente dall'India, è venuto qui a incontrarvi a Siena. Lui conosce anche un po' italiano, vero? In realtà è stato uno dei primi ospiti di questo progetto, quindi della primissima edizione del ciclo di seminari che sono stati tenuti nel 2020. Purtroppo, appunto, per la pandemia, tutti i viaggi sono stati cancellati e lui è stato uno dei primi professori che dovevano venire in Italia e alla fine abbiamo organizzato tutti i seminari in modalità telematica. Quindi allora lui ha tenuto la sua lezione, la sua conferenza online. Tra l'altro proprio il giorno della conferenza aveva anche il Covid, quindi non stava bene. Quindi dopo 4, quasi 5 anni è finalmente ritornato, è molto contento di essere qui con noi. Lui è professore dal Centro di Studi Coreani dall'Università Jawaharlal Nehru University di Nuova Delhi. È attualmente uno dei maggiori esperti indiani nel campo di studi coreani. Dopo aver completato il suo percorso di dottorato in studi coreani presso la Hanyang University di Seoul, professore Ras ha maturato una lunghissima esperienza accademica in Corea, insegnando in diverse università importanti come Sejong University, Gyeongju University e Hanyang University. Dal 2018 fa parte del membro di questa università Jawahar Nehru University, dove si occupa di relazioni internazionali, società coreana, cultura. Il professore è anche autore di numerosi articoli accademici, contributi sui temi che spaziano dalla sicurezza dell'Asia nord-orientale alle dinamiche delle relazioni bilaterali tra la Corea del Sud e India. Tra i suoi lavori più recenti posso segnalare pubblicazioni che riguardano il turismo culturale indo-coreano e sull'evoluzione della politica di sicurezza nell'Indo-Pacifico. È stato anche ha avuto anche dei riconoscimenti importanti, tra cui Outstanding Scholar Award, dato direttamente dal governo sudcoreano, e anche il premio Chungang-ilbo per meriti accademici. Quindi siamo molto felici di averlo qui con noi. Il titolo della lezione di oggi, Rules of ASEAN Community in the Global Context. Lui fa parte di questo progetto da tantissimi anni e infatti anche grazie al suo aiuto io ho potuto avviare questo progetto 5 anni fa, quindi sono molto grata anche per questo. Spero che insomma sarà una lezione molto interessante che possa dare diversi spunti di riflessione. Lascio la parola al professore. Grazie ancora. 감사합니다.
Grazie. 교수님 여기서 앉아도 돼요? 아니면 서서? 오케이. Buongiorno. È bello essere qui nel vostro paese antico, è bellissimo. Io ho studiato italiano 20 anni, ecco. Adesso tutti dimenticato. I'm sorry, so I have to speak in English, or if you are okay in Korean, that's okay for me. Because, just I said, language is a game of practice. So I love the Italian language. That's why while I was in my student life, so learning Korean as full-time, I also joined Italian embassy. So learned there, and still that small Italian helped me a lot to travel Italy, from Venice, Rome, anywhere. So communication. So that's the thing. And I'm grateful to Professor Imsuk Jung and the university to giving me a new opportunity. I was about to come in 2020, but unfortunately the COVID, that's like that was a problem. So are you, how many of you are okay in Korean? 한국말로 괜찮아요? No, my Korean is also getting down because I'm no more living in Korea. I'm living in India. So my 단어들이 떨어지고 있어요. Like my words are getting down and down. So sometimes the students ask, so I also have to check the online dictionary. Let me check it again. So that's what I say, language I'm not practicing anymore. Because Korea, its environment was there. And I think if I live in Italy, then for 6 months, my Italian will be okay. So, as better, I studied Korean for a long time in India. I did my bachelor's, master's, and we follow the British system at that time. These days we are changing. So I think you know MPhil, Master of Philosophy. That's in Oxford and Cambridge. So we used to follow. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. So that's what, and after that I moved to Korea. I did my Paksa, PhD at Hanya University. And after PhD, I taught there for 4 years, and then back to my home country, back to Pavilion. I happened to one country where few people can go. And Koreans, I think, very impossible to go there. I happened to North Korea also. Yeah. So for Koreans, it's very difficult. Like now, if you are you have the different country citizenship, they can go, but like as a Korean citizen, it's very difficult. So and often I going to Korea and delivering my lectures and participating in the seminar. Now, as professor has already introduced me, I am moving to the lecture. Okay, so these are the contents, characteristics, and categories of Asia. I am seeing, I may be wrong, by look, some Koreans are also there. I think so. Okay. Some Koreans or maybe some Asians. If I am not categorizing, maybe Chinese or Japanese, but some Asians are there. Now there is a problem. You'll find that when I was living in Korea, there is a different concept of Asia, unfortunately. So for many Koreans, Japanese and Chinese, the concept of Asia is these three countries. But that's the American concept. The British concept, that's also a problem. The Asia is with the countries which were colonized, mostly India, South Asia, or probably till Malaysia. These countries. Now, what is Asia? This part of the world says this Asia, and that part of the world says that Asia. And some of my Korean professors used to say, Rahul, you don't look like Asian. Sir, how I said, you look like a Caucasian. Oh, really? I don't think so myself. But anyway, everyone has its own opinion. So I will, categories of Asia, we will talk. Then background and necessity of Asian community. Why is it necessary? Europeans know a lot these days. They have the experience how the things are working in Europe, the war and the conflict and the problems disagreements, many things are there. But that is not confined to Europe. That is also in Asia or in any part of the world that's happening. Okay. If I speak very fast, please let me know. I will try to reduce my speed from KTX to Mongonga. These are two trends. One is slow and one is... Now, historical background and characteristics of regional cooperation. Yes, there is a need for multilateralism at the moment, how the things are working in the present contemporary time. Then divergence on Asian issues, convergence on Asian issues. There are a lot of divergence and there are a lot of convergence. That used to happen in Europe also 100 years ago. Things were very different. Now you will find a lot of things. The best thing is that many people are saying, why you are traveling only Italy? Why not Germany, France, when you have Schengen visa? Next time. I want to finish Italy this time. Next time I will. So it's a thing like it's easy for any not for foreigner or any Italians to move anywhere. Things, challenges and barriers, and what is India's role and ways for Asian community. Now Asia, that's the Latin word Asia, considered Akadin Asu in reference to the sun and the land of sunrise. Now, often we say Japan is a land of like rising sun. Now in India, many people don't know. They say, no, the northeast part of India is the land of rising sun. That you'll find it. I haven't been to that, even northeast part of India. When you are living in your home country, you hardly travel. When you are living in a foreign country, you travel a lot. So it's just like I travel more Korea than India. Or just like you Italians travel more foreign countries than your own country, you will find. So the different perceptions, different ideas are there. Often when viewed from you, Asia is located in the east. Seen from Asia is the third world. That also you find, these are often called as global south. That's a kind of like I hear a lot in Korea, conference on global south. Now what is the contribution in global south? Just talking or some working? That you will find. We will see. Compared to Europe, it's many times it is said that inferior in political, economic, social, scientific development, and contemporary realities. But these are all actually you will find in the 100 or 100 years of talking. If you go back to that, before 100 years, Asia was very different. Till 1840 or 1850, China and India controlled 40% of world trade. That you can check on the internet, they're all available. So almost 40%. Things changed drastically. Then the Chinese, the Opium War, and all these things happened. India went under British colonialism, just like Korea went under Japanese. And Manchester became the hub of textiles. Where the cotton was coming from? India. Now you see Manchester is no more the hub of textile. Again, back to Asia. Things are changing. So time revisit takes time. Also, apart from that, we will see like political, economic, or social. Now, some things we are living in an era where many people like things are changing. One is like thanks to globalization, we are meeting each other. We are trying to break our prejudices, stereotypes. The problem with the people is that many people say that country is racist, that country is problem, that system. I say 50% problem is your language. You don't understand their language. 30% problem is culture. You don't understand the culture. And 20% is prejudices. So problem is that we focus on 20% and we leave 80%. Now I'm traveling Italy for the last like 4 or 5 days. Okay, of course I forgot a lot of Italian words, but in my breaking language, I didn't find any problem in Italy, anywhere. Even yesterday night, I was coming from Venice. The one girl from Siena, she studied in this university, and she said, "Help me." No, you go from this side, and she was surprised that you are going to my university. Now, thanks to one is the AI, Google, and another is like how you communicate. So the problem, coming back to the point, 80% problem we don't focus. Yeah, 20%. And that's the problem that we have the prejudices. Prejudices we cannot break easily, but 80% we can manage. Then political and social. What we think cannot be 100% true for others. That's what like Lee Kuan, Singapore's father of development, he said, not necessary we have to follow the Western style of democracy. It is not necessary. What is good for you, not necessary for the Asian structure, because every country has different characteristics. It will take time. Now, take for example, when I am delivering lecture, I am being asked, and it's not bad, like, because people read world history. You might have heard about India, the caste system. Things are changing. It will take time. It's thousands of years. Like, I just ask, America is a developed country. It took 200 years to elect a black president, and that's also not 100% black. So you cannot force others. Let the things develop. And when you force others, what happens in the Middle East, even after that, Iraq and all these things, countries, you see Syria and other countries, problems are there. Okay? Political system, maybe that political system is working. Not necessarily it will work. I find that maybe I'm wrong, or I don't know. But like Europeans are also struggling. I'm not saying that immigration or multi is bad or good, but they are also struggling. Every day it is a news. Whether it's go to the Scandinavian country or the southern country, it's a problem. 10 years ago, Angela Merkel was the torchbearer of multiculturalism. What happened in just 10 years, 15 years? You have to think. So it's not like different views. And then scientific development. Of course, a lot of scientific development happened. But a lot of scientific development happened in Asian part of the, in this part of the world also. Like, I'm coming from a country, you got the number system, 0. Okay. However, from the when we look from historical perspective, land of several scientific inventions, development in political institutions, birthplace of several religions and cultures and civilization that you find. Like whether you say Hinduism, whether you say Buddhism, whether you say Jainism, Christianity, Judaism, or most of the religions, it started from this part of the world. And in some countries you will find that just like Europeans accepted a lot, like in the Italy, when Constantine he accepted the Christianity. Korea is also same. Like Buddhism is not from Korea, Confucianism is not from Korea, even Christianity is not from Korea. Now you go to Korea, you will hardly find that they will say it is a foreign religion. No, it's our religion. Very accommodative. I'm not saying all countries, but many countries they accommodate. Now, if you see a religion, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Sikhism, Baha'i, how many of you know these religions? Have you heard about Baha'i? Okay. Have you heard about Parsi? Sikhism, I think so. Yeah. Because I found that when I was applying for Italian visa, many Indian Sikh were applying for visa. They are coming to Italy and then going to Canada. I realized that. So Italy is just like the transit. Their main target is Canada. Okay. How is, I think you know Hinduism and Jainism. Jainism, you know. What's the difference in Buddhism and Jainism? Of course, like you can say both started from India, but that's the history part. The action. Jainism is more strict compared to Buddhism. I mean, of course, Buddhism, if you study it, like you'll find that the Eightfold Paths, not ahimsa and not indulge in fighting and all these things. But Jainism, they are very strict in food, diets, vegetarian. If someone is a very strict vegetarian, he will not forget the meat. He will not pluck or take fruits or vegetables from the ground unless it is fallen by itself. So very less percentage in India, maybe 0 point something. But 0 point is still, I think, maybe 100 or 200,000. India has a huge population. So even if you say 0.3% or 2%, it will be a big number that you'll find. What about Baha'i? If you check internet, you will find a very beautiful temple, Lotus Temple in Delhi. It's coming from Persia, modern-day Iran. Okay, and then the last one, Parsi. After that, okay, and before Parsi, a lot of foreign cars in Italy. I think you know Land Rover and Jaguar, British car. It's no more a British car. You know this? It is an Indian car. Tata, have you heard? Tata, one Indian businessman, he bought it 15 years ago. So, and Tata is just like in your country, a very big businessman, like or in Korea, Samsung or LG or Japan, Toyota. Tata is a very big personality. He's no more. He died just 1 or 2 months ago. But he contributed a lot in India. And he's coming from that Parsi religion. What happens in Parsi religion, after death, they don't burn or bury the dead body. They put in the cremation area, and the vultures or eagles will come. They think that even after death, my body should be for some purpose. Okay? And it is not a Hindu religion, it is not a Christian, it is not a Muslim. People can claim, because on one side they worship fire god, but other side, some things you will find that similar to Islam also, or similar to Christianity also. It's a mix, so you will find it. Okay. And Shinto, you know, Japanese, because I think Japanese, Chinese, Korean, so I think these things, you know. Sikhism, you know. Sikhism, one interesting part is that for girls, even boys cannot cut their hair. So you might have seen some Sikhs in Italy that they are using the turban. Okay. The rest, I think, know better than me also. So now the scientific invention. What is the lowest temperature in Italy in winter? Maybe minus 4, -5. I think it's the seaside, so not very cold, just like Busan. Seoul is more colder than the other side. But still, what happens when it is too cold in Italy? You have this heating system at flooring. But the first heating system in the world came from Korea. Now you have the scientific technological development innovation is there, so you'll find that the different tools are there. But the first heating system that you find in the ground on the floor, that's coming from Ondol, the Korean system. That's coming from Asia. So when I went to Korea first time, and then I was so much surprised that you find at home, like, of course, they charge you a lot of electricity also, because it is not hitting your only one part of your home, the whole home. And after that, at the end of the month, you have to pay $200, $300. That's costly. But anyway, in Korea, it's really cold, like sometimes -20 also in January or February. But like you'll find it's no problem. Okay, as I mentioned, zero came from India. A lot of things you'll find. And gunpowder from China. Now we are using a lot of gunpowder these days, whether in Europe or in Asia. That you'll find it. Another part you find, it's not only about these developments. A lot of other things also came. Just like we got a lot of foreign vegetables and foreign foods from other countries. Pizza is no more, like people think that it's just a home food in India. Of course, the differences are there that you'll find. Have you heard about, okay, you might have tried mango. From where it's coming? Mango? When I was in Korea for 10 years, I said, if you want to enjoy real mango, come to India. This is not real mango. You know what is the scientific name of mango? Mangifera indica. Indica is coming from India. So you are trying this Philippines or Taiwan or Thailand mango, come to India. There are 1,500 varieties of mango. So you'll find, so that's crazy. But not everything in India. So I have to enjoy strawberry, then I have to go to Korea. You'll find that is not, because we are a tropical country. It's a hot country, it's impossible. There are many things you'll find. Okay. Now, why I put this picture, Asia? That's what I said, like Asia, it starts from Turkey and ends at Japan. So it is not only East Asia, or what we say, British say, the South Asia, or many people say Middle. Many people say say Middle East. Why Middle East? Where is Middle East then? Americans say Middle East, no? And we followed. What Europeans say? From Asian perspective, it is West Asia. It is not Middle East. From the American views, it is Middle East. So in my university, there is no Middle East department. There is West Asian department. Center for West Asian Studies. It's just like we have the Center for East Asian Studies, China, Japan, Korea. Then for Center for South Asia, Center for European Studies, then Center for West Asian. No. That's American perspective. We follow like the Asian, that like. So you'll find that these countries, and there was one scholar, Peter Kartenstein. He wrote a very wonderful article, why there is no, in the starting in the when 50s, in the 60s, when the NATO, 70s, when NATO was forming, why there is no NATO in India. For many, for him, and he explained that for Americans, Asia was alien. We couldn't understand this region. Very, very alien, that you'll find. You will be surprised to know, in the Korean history, if you read, when Americans first came to Korea, especially during the Korean War, you know, in English, we say go to hell. Sometimes when we are very unhappy, we are angry, go to hell. When Americans were fighting in the Korean War, they couldn't pronounce anything in Korean. So, Hanguk, they say, difficult, they say. Then, and many American soldiers, of course, Koreans also died, American soldiers died. You know what they used to say? Go to Guk. Going to Korea means going to die. That was like that's a real story. You can check on the. So that was the perspective that you will find. And when the Koreans were dying in Vietnam War, they also used the same thing. So it's like, and for Europe, for Western countries, it's different alien. What is kimchi? You might have tried kimchi. Okay. What's like? It's like it's crazy food. Over a period of time, things have changed. So you'll find that Asia different characteristics that you will find it, and different ideas from the Western perspective. What is Asia that we are going to talk? Now, Asia. Eastern end of Eurasian continent and Arctic Ocean and the Bering Strait in the north, Pacific, and you can read composed of 48 countries, world's population 60%. Now, who is in Asia and who is not in Asia? I talked only about Turkey and Japan, starting at Turkey and ending in Japan. What about Russia? Is it in Africa, Asia, Europe? Of course, not Africa. Where we should consider? We will see. Unlike other continent climate conditions of Asia, consisting of wide ranges, topography is very, very different. Now, just I was talking to Professor, Delhi. You know what is temperature in Delhi? Can you guess? Every day here I'm walking almost 20,000 steps. I'm traveling a lot. In Delhi, even 1,000 steps is very difficult. It's too hot. At the moment, 42 to 44 degree. Crazy. No, I can't go. It's very difficult. So I am talking to my Indian friends at night. They say, 20,000 steps? Oh man, even 2,000 steps, forget 2,000, 1,000 steps is difficult. Even Korea, I can walk a lot. But it's a good, compared to India, I'm not saying about Siberia and other areas, but it's very cold. That you will find. Topography is very difficult. Now Asia, you will find that desert is also there, and heavy snow is also there. That you find. And then the rainy season. Yesterday or day before yesterday, there was little slight drizzling, and I was looking at some people. My bad habit to observe. In Korea also, people when the moment some drizzling starts, and then people open their umbrella. In Italy also, one person was saying yesterday, why don't you buy an umbrella? Oh, this is small rain, we don't care. Rain means heavy rain. We in India, that we have in when the monsoon starts at the end of June, and then you cannot go out. These are small rains, we can go. And I saw people were waiting at the railway station. I said, no, I can walk to hotel. And Really? That's okay. So things are coming from a different background. So like for me, the drizzling is not rain. It's okay, manageable. Now you start from Gobi and Thar Desert to freezing Siberian region. Okay, and the highest rainfalls to beautiful seasides. Yeah. Siberian region has also connection with your. You are in the Korean department, some or East Asia. Most of you are from the Korean department. Oh, for foreigners. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so kimchi also has connection with Siberia. You know this? No. How many of you are any Korean apart from professors? 한국 사람? 김치 어떻게 시작했어요? How kimchi started? Any idea? No. Yeah. Because kimchi is nothing like it was a similar food. Koreans, I think even those who are not in the Korean department, you know, Koreans eat kimchi, just like Italians eat a lot of pizza and Indians eat a lot of curry. Yeah, but people say, no, every time we don't eat curry. It's just like it's a generalization. Italians also eat a lot of different foods. Like it's a complete generalization. Many people, they ask in Korea, Rahul, can you dance? Why? Oh, Bollywood, every time people dance. Like, oh, Koreans, can you fight? Why? Taekwondo. So no, everyone should know Taekwondo. Kimchi started from like Korea was that when there was no nation state concept, people cannot have vegetables in the cold winter time. So they used to have vegetables in the salt water, in the Shilla and Koryo dynasty. And then they used to have pangan, radish and carrot. And then the chili came from Japan. When Hideyoshi attacked Korea, Imji Veran. And no, Japan didn't create a chili. They got chili from Portugal. So Portugal to Italy, Japan to Korea. And when Korea was in connection with the Qing dynasty, Cheongnara, then they got pechu, cabbage. Right now this is kimchi. So you'll find a lot of things are there. It's just like Koreans also and Japanese also eat curry. Huh? But where the curry comes, curry went from India to British during colonial time, from England to Japan, and Japan to Korea. Now in Japan and Korea, you will find ottoge curry, not Indian curry. You'll find. So Asia consists of different forms of government. In Europe, see most of countries, like almost all, like a democratic country. In Asia, you'll find, just like besides India, take or above South Korea, North Korea. What type of government? Now you cannot say that is not. What is the official name of North Korea? Democratic People's Republic of Korea. They are not democratic, but the name is democratic. And when there is an election, 99% vote for Kim Jong-un. Near India, you'll find besides India, Myanmar is also there, not democratic. Other countries, Vietnam, other countries. And then you say West Asian, like the Arab countries, different forms of the government, okay? And then different ideology also is also there. Democracy to autocracy, communism to military dictatorship, okay? Laos, you can see, different country. From Cambodia. Asia is increasingly center of the world economy. Now, Europeans, they had their time, if you see in the till 20th century. I was thinking about that, talking, when I was traveling to Rome metro. One thing I found that very old metro. Yes. London, I think the oldest, the tube. No? Now, if you go to Delhi, it's very modern. But the other thing I was realizing that why Italians need new metro when they don't have any huge population. It's a huge investment. When they will get the return. India has just started, China already started. India has just started development. So of course you will get the new things that will find it. So very different you will find. So Asia anyway, it's a center of the economy work. You will find whether China or India, huge population, cheap labor, younger demography. You'll find that most of the Indians, like around 60 to 70% of Indians are in the age of 25 to 35. So younger demography that you'll find. Sometimes population is a bane, sometimes population is a boon. That you'll find. We also have problem population, huge population, how to manage. Sometimes it is working. So even when there is a crisis, economic crisis, we have the internal market we can manage. Okay, Asia is also rising, but also integrating rapidly, arguably setting the pace for new stage for globalization and regionalism. That you find it now. Once upon a time, US was at the forefront of globalization. Now US is becoming more protectionist, and China, very different. These Asian countries are promoting globalization. That you'll find. Things have changed. They didn't realize that things could happen like this way. Is strengthening regional cooperation orientation in globalization. Because as the market, as the country is developing, of course we want globalization. Then more than the Western countries these days, where we will sell our products. And you cannot make your product. It's very expensive. Okay. Importance of regional cooperation to intensified competition. Of course, there is a competition. You will find forget the Western countries. There is a competition among the Asian countries, Vietnam, and India and China. Now China is also not very happy because the iPhone they are now producing, and Vietnam, Samsung, they are producing now in India. So things are changing. Companies are moving from this. But of course, it's not like maybe after 50 years it will go to Africa. That's the unfortunate basic rule of economics. You get the cheap labor, you will go there. That you will find. The need for crisis management to respond post-Cold War conflicts, active movement of people, money, goods, service with the development of transportation. One of my professors at Hanyang University, Russian department, she told me, Rahul, you are living in a very wonderful century. When we were living, we were not allowed to move outside the Soviet Union or the closed country which are close to, Soviet Union. So you can move from here, this country to that country. Like you can marry from this country to that, no one cares. Our time was very different. Things have, so try to utilize this time. Respond to infectious disease, drugs, crime, natural disasters, and environmental pollution. Now you will find that that's kind of like, we will talk later, climate change and environmental issues, the European countries are, but you will find that many Asian countries are at the forefront in renewable energy. After, it's actually in the top 3, US, China, and India. Okay. So you'll find that the data is also there. So things are changing. They are working a lot. Of course, huge population, you have already developed. They are starting from the lower ladder, so it will take time. So they cannot give up coal in one day. It will take time. So they are working on environmental pollution, Asian countries. Natural disasters, they are supporting, in spite of differences that you will find it. Well, for example, if the earthquake is there, recently there was an earthquake in Myanmar. So Asian countries are coming. And ironically, America was very late, and China, India came first. So things are changing. They are working what it was like 20, 30 years ago. The need of Asian community will increase due to development of information technology and progress of globalization. Now you see world regional communities, NAFTA problematic at these days. If you see Canada and Mexico, Trump tariff, Arab League, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, ASEAN, Association of South Asian Nation. So many regional organizations are there. Now background. Global trends, EU, people got influenced by EU, but the EU has a different history, starting from coal unity, now to the whole geographical unity. That North America, yes, in the 90s they did NAFTA, problematic. South America, UNSCR, and Middle East or West Asia, Africa, East Asia. Now, Asian financial currency crisis, 1997. Have you heard about this? It started actually from the Latin America. Of course, I'm not saying the Asian countries, they didn't have any financial issues. They had their own problem. That's like a finding. But like sometimes what you happen, like it's just like a stock market. Like it is getting, when the market is going down. So almost every day I'm watching how this, today America and how Europeans are working. And then morning, how the Japanese or Kospi is working. Okay, to Indian market will go up and down. So that's really, it's kind of like integrated. Not always, because the good side I'm telling outside this talk is like Trump tariff is no more like whatever it was to be influenced, already done. Things are changing. Okay, necessity of and then ASEAN and SCO. Now you'll find that India and China, they have problem, geographical problem, territorial. They, of course, there is a divergence in many areas, but still they are working together in Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They are working. And then again they say that we are still the ancient civilization, we have to work together. So you'll find that in spite of all differences, they are working. Take, for example, Japan and Korea. They have historical problems. Some issues are not resolved. But you'll find that Korea, I mean, like the second or third largest partner of Korea is Japan. That's what you'll find. Business is working. Like, so they are working together. You'll find. As of 2023, China is number 1 in the world. GDP 22%. Now India is the fastest growing. If you see the data at the moment, 6.5% GDP growth, and it's going to rise again. Okay, you'll find. But China or India or Vietnam is coming. You will be surprised to know. I tell to my Indian friends also, there are 800 Korean companies in India. Can you imagine how many Korean companies in Vietnam? 10,000 Korean companies, creating more than 900,000 jobs. So I say to my Indian friends, don't live in the utopia that we are the big market, younger population. It's not like that. And Vietnam is also there. Now, if you go and see your Italian products like some textiles, you'll find that most of them coming from Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam. Of course, China is there. I'm not saying, like, these new countries are coming. Like, you'll find. So it's not only China and India. New countries are also emerging that you'll find. Okay, and then India, fastest growing, poised to be the third largest. Already, I think it's number 4. And by 27 or 28, it will be third. So we say that 21st century East Asia, Central and China is expected to develop. So we often say that 21st century is also the century of Asia. Now, ASEAN and all these things, why they came? ASEAN, of course, the very prominent regional organization, but it's still not like EU. That you will find. ASEAN countries, they have a lot of their own issues. If you see Thailand and Cambodia, they have territorial disputes. Or Thailand, Malaysia and Vietnam. When it comes to South China Sea, all they will fight. Firstly, they will fight against China, but it doesn't mean that if China is out, then they are united. No. They have their own problems. But still, they are working. Why? Not to be usurped by big countries. Like forget Western countries. Japan is a big country. China is a big country, economically and territory-wise. So we don't want, so we have to work together. So the regional organization came. One reason also people say that why EU came. Of course, coal history, coal united in the but the other thing was that to challenge United States also. ASEAN also, again, it was expanded to 3. ASEAN is no more because United States wanted to enter. So ASEAN plus 3, what happened? Japan, China, and Korea. Again, it was further expanded. Japan, because we have a lot of differences also, ASEAN plus 3. Because Japanese, they don't like Chinese. Malaysians, they don't like Indonesian. So how it will work? And Chinese don't want Indians to come. Then Japanese said, let's have India. Of course, Malaysia opposed, Indonesia supported. So we have differences. We don't say we don't have differences. And finally, the ASEAN plus 3. Then it became ASEAN plus Indo-Pacific. So China, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and India. Then ASEAN Regional Forum, it came 1993-94. Now these are the ASEAN member countries. You can look in it. Okay. Purpose of establishment, to strengthen the relation with the Western. But after the end of Vietnam War, the purpose was to establish a wide range of cooperation, including Indo-China countries. ASEAN, a place to promote concrete cooperation between ASEAN, South Korea, China, and Japan. Now, if you see ASEAN, actually only one economic power, Singapore. But if you remove Singapore, not other countries, other countries are dependent. Whether you say Cambodia, whether you say Laos, whether you say Myanmar, all countries are dependent. So they want to have cooperation, but they don't want to be usurped or grabbed by other big powers also. East Asian Summit, its aims was to, especially it came post 1997 financial crisis. Then ARF, it came for the Intergovernmental Multilateral Security Advisory Body. Now these are the some of the organizations it worked. APEC, CCASG, SARC, EC, SCO, BIMSTEC. Recently there was a BIMSTEC summit. If you take I think last month it was there. Thailand, India, Myanmar, some other countries were there. Okay, Mekong Ganga Cooperation and RCEP. Have you heard about RCEP? No. I think you might have heard about ILTE. One Belt, One Road. No, ILTE ILLO. Like it's like One Belt, One Road. Few years, I think it came around 2015 or 16. Around 13. Okay, made this PH. So 2013, and then later it changed also, and many countries joined. From Europe, many countries joined RCEP, and Italy is the first country to leave RCEP. Because later we will discuss, it has its own flaws also. Okay, and then came Quad. You to counter. So you'll find that ASEAN, Asian countries, they want to cooperate. They have some regional against each other. It doesn't mean that a lot of differences are there. So how to form this unity? That's also a big issue. Political conflicts, colonial rule, historical perception issues affects Asia and the world. Europe has solved this historical problem, especially when you see from the World War II history and all these things. Asia hasn't solved its problem. That you will find that Japan, Korea, or Japan, China, often these things propped up. Like trade is going on, suddenly something happened like this side or that side, and then things happen. Now you find that Asian countries, other Asian countries, for example, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, divided on the religious line. Yesterday or day before yesterday, there was a terrorist attack. A few people died also. So that's you will find it. So historical perception is religious issues are also there. Okay. Forcibly grabbing by other countries also. Then you find that ASEAN countries are very much united in spite of problem. South China Sea. Then North Korea or Pakistan is to terrorism. That you will find. Now, other countries also you'll find that if you come to India and forget European or the America, if you some of my one professor from my university, Chinese department, he came to India and he realized that, oh, I thought that there is no problem between India and China. Oh, I said, like, sir, you have to dig something more. There are a lot of issues. It's just like I found that I don't when the 2008 financial crisis was there, many Greek people didn't like Germans. Because I had some Greek friends when I was a student at Hanyang University. No, German, no, very bad, very bad. Why? Economy, no. Because, and Germans say, no free money. If we give you money, you have to work. So different perceptions are there. Okay. To relation of relationship, armed conflicts over borders and territories. Often you find in not only India and Pakistan, sometimes North Korea. And North Korea sometimes very interesting country, because the world news is always these days dominated by Russia, Ukraine, or the West Asian. And suddenly North Korea finds that, oh, it is not in the news, it's time to test one missile. I want to be in the news. So suddenly it will test one missile and it will come back. Okay. Japan, earthquake 2011, that you find tsunami. And it was a major, even before 2011, 2004 tsunami, that you'll find. And people have to cooperate. More than 20,000 people died. Tsunami, earthquakes, COVID-19, that you'll find. Things changed drastically. Okay, financial crisis 1997, 2008. No one was left when this global catastrophic crisis came. Now, who is Asian? Geographical identity issue. As I mentioned earlier, East Asian nations consider themselves as Asians, often in the Western concept, especially from the United States. Britain considers South Asians as Asians, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, but not Chinese. Middle East or West Asia, from the location of US Gulf countries, are considered as Middle East, but from the geography of Asia, they are actually West Asia. Ethnic and religious identity issue. Unlike Europe, there is a huge diversity, both religiously and ethnically. And of course, like you'll find that things, how Europe has solved its problem. Okay, that many Asian countries have to learn. And it's not very old history, like 70, 75, 80 years old, just after World War II. These diversities often result in clashes that we'll find. Forget like the big countries, as I mentioned earlier, even Thailand and Cambodia, they have issues. Big countries leave it. Nationalism. Many countries in Asia still have not come out from historical animosities that I mentioned earlier. Asia doesn't exist culturally, historically, ethnically, politically, and economically. Because you find different forms of the economic system is there. That you find India, is it a very capitalist country? No. It is a communist? No. It is a mixed economy. That you'll find. China, it is a communist country, only in political terms. It is a hardcore capitalist country than even America. That you find. Like Chinese, they don't. When I was going to North Korea, I found that when Chinese was going to North Korea, what you are going? I'm going to sell my products. Even in North Korea, yes. Oh man, they know how to do business like a China. That each part of Asia is basically completely different, and in reality works as subcontinent. That you will find. Economically, financial gap between Asian and countries are too huge to share common interest. It's too huge that you will find it. Sometimes it's a culture shock also that you will find it. There kind of like a huge poverty is also there. Then a lot of rich people. Now, if you see the data, the most rich people in different countries, you will find in the top 10 countries, India and China is also there. But like you will find a huge poverty is also there. So it's a different things. A few years, 2 years ago, there was one Indian business tycoon. His son was getting married, Ambani, and all the world leaders and they were participating. Billions of dollars they spent money. So that's one side of India, and other side you will find it. Same thing you will find in other countries also, that in Asia. Then one belt, one road financial diplomacy, also consider that debt diplomacy. Have you heard about it? Debt diplomacy? No. That you'll find that Sri Lanka, Maldives, these countries are victim. I will talk later also. Unlike you, there is a lack of will in guiding unity. Who will guide it? That's also a problem. Of course, there was a problem between Germans and Greek when the financial. It doesn't mean that Greek came out. That you'll find. I also hear that sometimes Hungary and Slovakia, Poland, they have different views in the EU. It doesn't mean sometimes people from the West, this side of Europe, they say they should leave EU. But that's a kind of like a personal anger, but it doesn't mean that they are leaving. And sometimes they will not follow. But at least there is a kind of unanimous consensus that differences are there not to leave. But what about in Asia? That's not there. The region's culture, political regions, economic system, religious beliefs are more disparate than Europe. Europe, most of the countries you will find it Christian country. Now, I'm not going in the sects like who are British, they follow Anglican Church and the Roman Catholic, then the Protestant. That's most all in Christianity. In Asia, we have huge religious differences, especially you find it. Okay. Many governments resisting institutional proximity, which would necessarily result in some diluting of sovereignty, non-interference, and territorial integrity. They don't want. There is no power balance between states in Asia as exists in Europe between Germany and France. Post-war, I'm saying. Balance is a little bit there. Of course, they don't agree on every issue, But many times they work together. These countries share a strong belief in European integration, social and cultural understanding. Asia remains under the influence of fiercely competing superpowers, buffeted by conflicting interests: China, United States, Russia, and all these countries. What are the rules of Asian community in global context? What rules can be forwarded by the Asian community in global context? Climate change, no issue. We can work together. But don't force us. If you force, there will be a problem. Like that you have to reduce this percentage of carbon by this year or this year. Because these countries are actually, they have started development. They don't have the funding, the technology to quickly transfer from one part to other. Even Germany, very rich country, it will take almost 20 years to completely change to that renewable. If Germany is taking 20 to 25 years, what do you expect from many Asian countries? That's like from nuclear energy to land, that's really fine. France, highly dependent on nuclear energy, almost 60%. Maybe more high, 60%. That you will find. I don't know about Italy, but like these two countries I know, Germany and I found like some solar panels and all these things, but still I think nuclear energy is there in Italy. No, oh, okay, I'm sure, sorry. But like you'll find many countries like they very difficult to change, move from this form of the energy to other form. Okay, financial institutions should be made more democratic. President of the World Bank. Now you see how what are the Asians' grievances that you find when it comes to the West. Most of the who is the president of World Bank and who is the president of IMF? Always Europe and America. No Asia. Now, if you see the Asian financial cloud, maybe right now China, Japan, Korea, just after 3-4 years, India will also join. Now, the big financial powers is there. Highly, so someday, like when you say about democracy, democracy also means to share. Like we have to come out of the power. Okay. When the trajectory of economies have moved towards Asia, then it is also time for these institutions to be reformed. You know, like when the financial crisis came, till financial crisis, countries were not focused on having foreign exchange reserve. But these days, after the financial crisis, especially many countries had bad experience with IMF. Give you one example, IMF, when it came to Korea, they gave loan almost like $60 billion in 1997. And then, time is there? Okay. That's it, okay, yeah. I will finish quickly. And then after $60 billion, and IMF puts a lot of very tough conditions. That's why Koreans, they don't say financial problem, they say IMF munje. Because their conditions were very tough. When 2008 financial crisis came, especially Spain, many countries were affected. Then IMF said, no, these for Korea they said, these banks are so bad, they need to be collapsed. For Spain and Greece, they said, these banks are so big, they don't need to be collapsed. Rules are very different. That you will find. That's why things changed. Now you'll find that most of the countries, Asian countries, they have a huge financial foreign exchange reserve. China, of course, they have like $3-4 trillion foreign. Because tomorrow, if the IMF or World Bank or the Western countries, they put a problem, then where the money will come? So $3-4 trillion, huge money. After that, Japan, they have like almost like $1 or $1.5 trillion in exchange reserve. After that, India, it's $700 billion. If you don't give money, we don't care you. We have money. Because one problem also gives you one lesson. So to prepare for the future. So things changed after 19. When these things come, when it comes to the foreign territory, I mean outside Asia, Asian countries are very much united. When the financial crisis came, Japan wanted to make, just like IMF, Asian Monetary Fund. US opposed. No. That's not. Asian Development Bank is okay. not Asian Monetary Fund. Because Japan realized that if these countries collapse, it will be a problem for Japan also. Like that should not be, because the economy is very much intertwined. It should not be. So things change. At Japan or Korea, you'll find that although economic power, their hands are very tight. That you'll find, because their security is dependent on United States. That now India's role in Asian community plays a leading role, significant role in voice representing developing countries in international forums, focuses on climate change, trade fairness, and developmental aid. That you find. When Sri Lanka was in crisis last year, no country came. And then they said like a neighborhood first policy. We have to save this country. So quickly it gave $1 billion. And then you don't have to repay, take your time. That's fine. So some of the leaders of Sri Lanka said, we cannot forget it. Yeah. Then the global South countries as well as or the Asian countries as forum at United Nations meetings and conferences. Now in 2022 or 23, G20 summit, it was in India. Now, if you say, even I said to ask my Korean professors also, like you talk a lot about G20. Korea was the first Asian country to organize G20 in Asia in 2010. Japan also did. Why didn't you take action in promoting these African countries when you talk about Global South? Just in the conferences or lectures or in action? In 2022, India asked G20 and African Union joined as part of G20, new member. Now, many people are criticizing, and now what is G20 if the African Union? Well, tomorrow the future is Africa also. At the moment, this 21st century, just after 40, 50 years, Africa, you are going to manufacture. Apple and Samsung, they are manufacturing in China and India. After 40, 50 years, Africa will be the future. You cannot ignore it. India's role, development challenges, like nation tackling similar challenges. We have similar challenge that you will find it. Now, sometimes you find very interesting thing when I'm traveling Italy, and sometimes often I travel Korea. Sometimes when you go to India, you will find why it is happening. Even we Indians don't know. Very difficult. And we often say, if you are successful in India, you can be successful in any part of the world. Because we don't hardly follow the rules. Sometimes you'll find. So yesterday when I was in Venice, one person said, oh, you take this ferry, it's very fast, and that ferry, very slow. Okay, then I said, okay, that is Japan bullet train and that is Indian train. So they were, oh, yeah, that's like, so you cannot find it. Different things are there. But coming back to the point, because many Asian countries who have started the development, they are at the same level at India. So India understands these things. Okay, bridge the divide. Now you find that COVID-19 vaccine. One thing was that Pfizer came from US. And what countries they said? Pfizer and other vaccine was, I am forgetting, there was also another vaccine, okay. They came that, no, firstly, our people, then we will provide. Our foreign minister said, when the world is one family, then what is our people? Everyone is our people. So we will give a vaccine to our people as well as to other people. So that's why India provided vaccine to more than 50 countries free of cost. Because if you die, it is not going to help me. Tomorrow, how I will sell my products, how I will export, when your country will collapse. That's what the Japanese idea. When the Asian countries were in the problem, in the Asian financial crisis, it wanted to make monetary fund, but like, no. Because even I am rich, but these countries are unable to buy. What is my use? Okay. Now, Russia-Ukraine war, you know better than me, like that you find. Severely affected many Asian countries. Maybe war in this part of the world, but is affecting other part of the world that you find. Inflation. Now, if you ask Koreans and Japanese, oil prices is too high. And salary is not going up. And inflation is going up. So it is affecting the Asian countries. Now maybe Japan, Korea, they are these countries are rich. What about the poor countries? How they will manage? That's a big problem. That fine. China's interference that I mentioned earlier. That's a Belt and Road Initiative. So that was like a it is questionable and whether BRI will be a win-win situation or both countries parties, or it will focus only on Chinese profit. Things are changing. I was reading one a day before yesterday one China news. Now China is engaging after Trump tariff. China is engaging many Asian countries. Why it was not engaging 2 years ago? When China was ignoring? Because Trump has put a lot of tariff. That's why you are engaging. 2 years ago, you should have engaged when people were saying, now you cannot dominate, you cannot take our territory. People were, you were not listening. Impact of COVID-19 that you'll find divide that I have already explained. Okay. Now you see the one belt, one road that you see, like I mentioned, like the how it goes. Now these are the countries. When you are going to support the countries, you also have to think Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Maldives are most potent example Chinese debt trap investment. So people are scared. That's also one problem. We want money. Of course, for any infrastructure development, people want money. But at what cost? That's also one issue. So often I say, when the Asian unity, it should not be OBOR, it should be MR. Not one belt, one road. It should be many belts, many roads. Like why there should be one belt? Why only your style of development? Now, I am very much influenced by the Korean style of development. What happened in the 60s, 70s? But 60s, the other side is the 60s, 70s era was very different. There was no media. Okay, Confucian society is there. Today, if you say there will be labor rights and human rights protest will be there. No, you cannot do it. But 60s, 70s was a very different era. So we cannot follow like the Korean style of development. These Asian countries are very Confucianism. They follow the Confucianist idea. If the boss says, you have to work. No question. We are argumentative Indian. We always love to argue in this part of the world, South Asia. Okay. Now, there is also another like Asia-Africa growth corridor to counter it. India doesn't have money that much. Has money there, but not. So, but India has connection with African countries because the same experience, colonization. Japan has money, so that they are working on money coming from Japan, linkage coming from India. Asia-Africa growth corridor, they are working. So, sea corridors with low cost and less carbon foot when compared to land corridor. Okay. Ways for Asian community in global context. In contemporary realities, it will be difficult to expect Asian countries to work as one Asian community. Now, forget like this part of what I mentioned about India, China, and West Asia. Even you see the West Asia, Yemen, Houthi, Iran, they are a problem. I often say one thing. United States has 4 interesting allies in Asia. Japan, Korea, and Israel and Saudi Arabia. They don't like each other. Historical issues. Here also, they don't like each other. But Japan, Korea, they come together when it comes to North Korea. Israel and Saudi Arabia, when they come to the issue of Iran propped up. Very 4 unique allies, you will find it. So Iranians have their own thing because Iran has a very strong old Asian civilization. So there is a kind of like you will see the Saudis and the Iran, they don't like each other many times. Persia has a great civilizational history, almost 500, 3,000 years history. So they don't like, okay? Look, it may be loosely, it may work loosely than probably like ASEAN, which though is not important regional organization, it cannot take a very decisions, such as present situation in Myanmar. That's the one problem. We can, ASEAN is there. Now you say democracy, we cannot remove Myanmar. It is a dictatorship. We cannot. So that's one issue. Then a formidable growth potential of the region could became a great driving for dealing with the biggest challenges of today. Migration, competition, re-emergent protectionism, automation, unemployment. All these things we can work together because we need each other. Now you see, Korea, of course, was a manufacturing hub and is still working, but these days Koreans are not working in manufacturing a lot, especially work. Who are working? ASEAN countries, Cambodia, Vietnam, Japan also, same countries. Even in India, you will find that when those Indians who are going in the upper ladder, of course, they don't want to work these things. So who are working? People coming from Bangladesh, Nepal, they are working. Okay. So each needs to promote this in own setting to succeed. Financial cooperation, despite stormy relations with India and China, both countries are the founding members of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Now, getting loan from World Bank is a problematic. So Asia has this AIIB bank. So it started in 2010, 11, something like that, and they are supporting many countries in Asia. Okay. 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 Thank you. So there are many things like you will find that how we can cooperate. You cannot emulate or imitate what is happening in EU. It's very difficult. Things very structure-wise, characteristic-wise, very different. I'm saying religion is one issue. Their government is also so many things are there, but still we can work on common issues. Like you will find, in spite of the differences, financial institutions they are supporting each other. You will find that India, China, huge problem, and who is the largest borrower from the AIIB bank? India, and China is helping. That you also you will find it. Okay, thank you. Okay. If you have any question, ask.
Thank you so much for your very interesting lecture. Actually, in our university, we don't have the courses related to international relation, and in particular in the field of ASEAN studies. So definitely, this kind of seminar is very important for us and for our students. So thank you so much. And I know, personally, I know you are involved in this project since many years, so you're an expert. Well, thank you. So, you have any questions? Okay.
Thank you for your eye-opening lecture. I wanted to ask your take on, I don't know if it was like 3 days ago, but the reunion of China, Japan, and Korea was really like effective, and it had a really strong impact on like worldwide. And I wanted to ask you your take on India's perspective, if you know, how are they going to react on their imposition of China, Japan, and Korea's imposition of America's increasing of the taxes? So yeah, I would like to know that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Good question. You asked about the Japan, China, and Korea. They are cooperating.
Yeah.
See, Trump tariff is not good for any country. It is a problem. Maybe China is more affected, but it's not like South Korea and Japan are not affected. They're like, even remove firstly the economic part. South Korea was and Japan, and they were scared even before coming to Trump. Like especially American troops are in South Korea and Japan, and last time they bargained, it's just like kind of village style businessman. My soldiers are there, you give me $2 billion. So firstly he asked actually $5 billion, and then how much you will reduce? So I'm like, okay, increase $100 million. So that's a problem. Your security, we need security, we want cooperation because it's not a one-day story like 70 years of our relation. A lot of things are there. So they are not happy on the security aspect. Second, coming back to your question, economy part. Yes, they are not happy with the tariff. And South Korea is highly affected. If we go to the semiconductor. China, also highly affected. Japan, also highly, especially these countries are very big countries in the automobile sector. South Korea, Hyundai is highly affected and semiconductor. And same goes with Japan, the automobile sector. Now they don't have any option, so they have to cooperate. Now, somewhere like when Trump was saying that China has a problem and this trying to uh, flout the global rules, you have to take your allies along with you. Now they are allies, or they are friends, or they are enemies. You are not leaving any country. So that's the problem. South Korea, Japan, they cannot leave America. But economic relations, they have to find out. China and Korea, $250 billion trade. China is the #1 trade partner of Korea. Now, China is also affected. Its economic growth is down. Japan, for sure. That's it. So that's why they are cooperating each other. How deeper it will go, that's a question mark. Because it's not about the cooperation. There are challenges, competition is there. Before, I want give you an example. When China and Korea in 2015 and 16, when the Koreans they deployed this THAAD missile defense system, American, China was very much unhappy, and they put unofficial sanction, Lotte, all these things was there, and many Koreans say that was a problem. No, that's not a problem. Problem started before that, because now Chinese companies are not small; they are in the world level. Chinese were missing only in one area, that was automobile sector. That also they are not living. BYD is there, and BYD is not the top Chinese company in China. It's in the #4 or #5. So what you say about the #1 company, you cannot come. Shipbuilding. So China was giving challenge to South Korea and Japan. Once upon a time, South Korea used to rule in the shipbuilding industry. For the last 15 years, China is #1. China is #1 in the shipbuilding industry. Japan, in the semiconductor market, hydrogen fluoride is there. 90% domination by Japan. But to whom you will sell? You have to sell to Taiwan and Korea. They are making semiconductor. So that's the problem. So there will be competition, there will be differences, but at the moment, if you see the Trump tariff, it's better to cooperate. It doesn't mean that every problem has been solved. There will be problem. Now, for example, in Korea, LG, it is out of the market in mobile. It's Huawei and Xiaomi. LG is no more. It's only in the home appliances, refrigerator and washing machine and all these things you will find. Sony, Japan, once upon a time, it was in the electronics market. But Sony, these days, mostly in making movie. That you will find it. They are Samsung and LG, they are dominating. So I'm not saying challenges are there, competition is there, but when you see the tariff, it is affecting all these three countries. So they are trying to cooperate. 100% problems are not solved. And let's see how the Trump administration goes, because the only consistency about this administration is inconsistency. Second question was Indian perspective too?
Yes, in the Indian perspective towards their reunion, like their take, if they're going to do something about it. Like
yes, there are territorial disputes. For example, if you see in the recent years, take for example from 70s to till date, the hard conflict only happened between India and China, not any other country. China has issue territorial dispute starting from India, ending at Japan. Every country has it. And in 2020, soldiers from both countries died. There was a fisting happened on the border area. Yes, that was a small skirmish, but it was. And for 2 years, there was no, the soldiers were not coming back, from both sides. Recently, as the Trump things is going on, they are working together. So you'll find that Trump wanted to take countries against China, but actually it is uniting countries. That you will find it. It doesn't mean that India, China, they have solved their problem. They have their own issues, just like South Korea and Japan and China. But the thing is that we are looking at the major problem at the moment. The rest things we will solve. Some problems cannot be solved in one day. It takes time. That you will find. And we are intertwined also. For example, another example I give you, India at number 3 in the renewable energy at the moment. But the 90% of the solar panels are coming from China. 80 or 90, maybe number up down, but 80, 90. We are dependent. And we also want to, because the Paris Agreement and all this, we have to reduce it also. So where these things will come? So things are working. So in that way, we are cooperating. So union, not easy, working together. That's what you find. That's what I say. Asian unity or Asian union cannot form what we see in the EU. Very different story. But at least we can work together. That's the more important issue. Sri Lanka a few years ago, very much against India, because there was an issue from the Indian side also. Right now, you see, like, no, the Indians also say, we cannot leave this neighbor country. It is a problem. So we solved it. Forget the past. So the things are not that everyone is like in the honeymoon period. It's not like that. There are problems where we try to mitigate those issues and try to come out in the common issues. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you have any other question? We have about 5 minutes. ¿Es una demanda? Okay, so thank you again. I really hope to invite you again in the next occasions.
Molto grazie. My second time to Europe and first time to Italy. And for the last 5 days, as I mentioned earlier before the starting of this lecture, I'm enjoying this country. People are very helpful. Like language sometimes issue, but these days in the era of AI, so I show them my phone, this. Okay. So things are working very easily. And whether at night or there, I heard a lot of things like people, you have to be careful and all. Yesterday I was talking, day before yesterday I was talking with the professor. I never faced any issue. Like I enjoyed it. And freely, whether in Rome or Venice and Siena. Tomorrow I'm going to Florence.
Wow.
I'm not going to leave any part, except, what you said? Amalfi Coast?
Wow.
Next time.
Next time, because it is your first time, so next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.